So welcome back to this channel, and I'm kind of going to disappoint and yet amaze at the same time, or maybe you're not amazed. It doesn't matter. So welcome to the channel, and Clark Gable's not going to be here today. He says he's really sorry. No, he's not actually. He told me I was very boring, and he'd actually have a chap to channel him. So if you're a chap, and you don't have to be strapping or good looking, he says, any other chap will do. He's sorry, he thought it over. And then he said, you know what, you can represent my energy, he says, but he's giving out a challenge to men to do this. And it's true. When I look at on YouTube, there's not a lot of men channelers who channel entities, and entities being spirits. He's like, I'm not an entity. So I'm fine. Oh, sorry. Oops. I didn't mean to insult you. Well, you did say I was boring, Clark. So I'm just going to start my timer because it's I'm going to talk a lot, and this camera only can take 10 minutes at a time. And I think I've already took up a minute, and I'm already taking up seconds. Tick, tick, tick. Okay, so because of everything that's happened, I've been tuning, well, not the previous, but the channeling with Grace. She's been coming to me with this mother energy and this Mother Mary energy, and she's the one who came. And I guess she brought in the Mother Mary energy first, and she's part of that group, like she said. And they want me to explain that Mother Mary is not just a group for Christian people. It's actually the group of mother energy all around the planet. So if you're in India, you have you have that name that you can connect to that connects you to that. But essentially, it's all connecting back to the same mother energy, the mother group. So if you're a mother, if you need to be a mother, these beings will help you come to your rescue in a way. And that's where you find the knowledge and the power to become a mother. And through the week, because my job involves talking to people and money, and I don't want to get into details about where I work because it's not really important, but it did ask me to tune in to that energy, and I was very in tune with that group of beings, and they were helping me as well personally with my own issues related to mothers and not being a mother in this life, and other issues. And I don't want to get into it because it's not about me. And then last week, I think it was Monday or no, Saturday, I met a friend, and they came over for dinner. And I know we should not have done that, but she came over for dinner. And after, I was so sad, and I was just like, I was just feeling a little bit depressed because of everything, and I felt trapped and kind of lost. And when things like this happen, it's a normal feeling to feel. And then Meriem came in, and she said, and she was already here before, because all the last 3 weeks, I've been wearing really dark eye makeup, and I bought these contact lenses, and sometimes I wear the nose ring, and I've been wearing them, and it's been like a daily occurrence. And I thought it was me on my own, but she was secretly coming in through the back door. Like, they can do that. They can hover around you without knowing that they're there. They can cloak themselves. And then one day they just reveal, and she revealed herself, and I was like, wow. Because she didn't want me to be intimidated by her. She says, yes, I give birth to Jesus, or Yeshua, Yeshua, and sorry, and but I am a woman, and she has a message, okay, about the mother energy and Mother Mary, and she says we need to revitalize the image of Mother Mary, because the last 100, 200 years, no one's really done anything about Mother Mary. It's been a very static image from the Renaissance, from that period, the blue, the white, and maybe in the 1700s or more recent, she's been sort of made almost like a kitsch idea, and that, people kind of don't really connect with that anymore. It's like a relic. That thing has become a relic, and she's a bit sad about it, not because it's her image. She says it's not about me coming in and doing anything. She's like, no, it's not me. She wants to remind us that we're all, as women, connected to that energy, and we can recreate the Mary, our Mary. We can embody that, and we don't need that icon that's sort of become very untouchable and kitsch at the same time, and quite, she says it's very stuffy, kind of like from the 1950s kind of a look. And we've become other people, and she says we haven't taken that with us, and it's the only female womanly iconography that we have, and we need to keep that for ourselves. In this part of the world, there's no other connection to that energy, visual connection. And she says you don't have to pray to the Virgin Mary that you see in church. It's not about church, it's not about that. It's about you taking that energy in and you embodying that energy. So today it's not about me turning myself into Meriem or Mother Mary. It's my own version of that sort of idea. And I want to incorporate a lot of things. I want to incorporate Persian, Indian, and also my own roots, which are Eastern European. I'm 100% Eastern European. There's probably some Jewish or Turkish. I'm not sure where my eyes come from. They're not very traditionally Caucasian eyes. And but I'm not going to do a smoky like I did all week. But she says she loved smoky eyes. And she's like, slow down, they probably want to know about me. I'm like, okay. So let's start talking about Meriem. I'm just going to gather my thoughts. So, like I said, she's not here today. Did I say that? Maybe I didn't. She's not really here today. She was with me all week, and we were having a conversation. And she wanted to talk about herself as a woman. And she says, we did a little thing on the internet this Sunday. She came to me, not this Saturday, sorry, the Saturday before. And we went on the internet, and the first thing that came to mind was Nefertiti. And she wanted me to watch a few documentaries about Nefertiti. And from what she's been telling me, she says the first woman to channel, the first person on this earth to channel on such a wide scale and propose the one God religion, the unified God, basically, was Nefertiti. And if you look at the documentaries about her and her husband, which probably was her son, she's saying he was the son. So back in Egypt, they worshipped different gods, and different gods represented things. And not just in Egypt, all over the planet, a lot of faiths were connected to different gods that were embodying different ideas of nature and of human psyche and of natural law. And she, Nefertiti, got a vision. She was psychic, and she was a very religious person in her own faith. And she got a vision from, she got a vision one day about one God. And to her, it appeared like the sun. And with her son, who was her husband, she decided to move the capital and create a new religion. And she knew it was going to be hard. Her husband was helping her because he was a man, and it was more acceptable if a man said this than a woman. And he took a lot of the he took a lot of flack for imposing that religion, but it didn't last. Once they died and their authority died, the people that came after them, the kings and queens that came after them, came back to the traditional Egyptian religion. And then she took me to a thing in the Bible. She wanted me to see, and it was people talking about Genesis, which is in the Bible, but a lot of people contest that it's not really, it wasn't a real story. I mean, it wasn't the original story that was included in the Bible. And some of these people were Christians, of course, men, who were talking about it. And they really, there was something in the tone of their voice, you could tell. They knew that it was not time appropriate. It wasn't fitted in the Bible. It wasn't part of that. And she winked at me and she said, you know, it's a nice fable that was invented by Christians after to make women feel bad about themselves. But, and men feel guilty for following in the footsteps of these women, she said. But she wanted me to point out something very specific about that. She says, when you create a myth or you create a lie and you want it to be perceived as real by people, you have to mix right and wrong. You can't just have a lie. You have to have truth in the lie. And that myth, the truth about it is that we do live in the Garden of Eden, and knowledge is the fruit. It is not forbidden, though. That's the lie. Knowledge is not a forbidden fruit. Knowledge is what we come and seek here on earth. And she wants us to almost laugh about it, that God didn't throw Adam and Eve out of the garden. Actually, he celebrated them at the end of that myth. And the serpent was a mighty catalyst of the desire, because the Bible and Christians have always sought to suppress desire. But in every other preceding religion, whether it's Indian or any other besides the Judeo-Christian ones, she points that desire is always celebrated as something that is creative and that creates not only fruit in the womb, but it creates around. People out of desire create and are not thrown out of the garden. That is a myth. It's just a myth imposed for people not to question the laws, because, you know, basically the myth says you're going to be punished. Then she took me to the Jesus movies, and yes, they'll be called that way, Jesus movies. And she pointed out that the Judaic people and the nomadic people around them that were of the similar faith as the Judaic people didn't wear Roman clothing. And she says it's really fascinating that in those movies they make people everyone wears Roman sort of clothing, which was not First of all, if you were not Roman, you couldn't wear those clothes. So that she says that, first of all, that's quite funny. And the second thing she wants to talk about is that the tradition of clothing of the tribes of the desert and those who lived in the city of Jerusalem were much more colorful. You know, they're showing this very sober thing, and she says it's not that at all. We were a very colorful tribe. Only the poorest of the poor would wear things that weren't dyed or didn't have any color to it. We weren't meek like that, she says. We believed in God, but we celebrated life, she says. And now she doesn't want to talk about Jesus, and Jesus kind of came in during the week, like Yeshua came in, and he briefly at work, I saw him out of the in my mind's eye, and he was like, you know, this is for my mom. Like, no one ever talks about my mom, and they all always talk about me, and she's always this silent woman. Even in the Bible, she doesn't say much. And he says it's time that Meriem had something to say, not as Mother Mary, because Mother Mary is another thing that has nothing to do with Meriem. And she wants to point that out. She says, I am Meriem here today, not Mother Mary. Don't confuse it. If you want to see Mother Mary energy, go watch the Grace Kelly channeling, because she says that's Grace Kelly mixed with a lot of Mother Mary. Or the mother energy, the mother collective, and all of those who provide support for people who are mothers, for beings who come to be a mother. And it's not the same as me. I'm here. She says, I'm talking as Meriem. So the next thing she wants to talk about is, of course, Yeshua, because she says, I do have to talk about him. I mean, he's a pretty important person. And I heard dude, but I didn't say it. So he's a pretty important dude. And sorry, it's making me laugh. Okay, so she says, I don't want to say how it all happened. There's a really good video by Emma McIntosh, Emmanuel McIntosh. She calls her Emma. She likes you, Emma, if you ever watch this. Where they talk to Jesus, and he explains how he was conceived and his life and all of that. So you can go and watch that. There's no point in repeating good information here. She did get the dream. She was really, really scared. Now okay, she wants me to slow down and talk about this. So she was part of a tribe, and they were nomadic tribe, a small tribe, but they were sort of wealthy, she says. So we had nice clothes, and I would wear kohl around my eyes because you're in the desert and you need to protect yourself. And it's kind of sunglasses. And she also says it's connected to Egypt, and she's very proud of her connection to that. She does say she has Arabic blood, but she's sort of a descendant of the people of Egypt, because we're all people of Egypt, you know, the Judaic people as well as our tribe. We did have Jewish blood in our tribe because we were nomadic, so we would take on people in the tribe. And I like to wear kohl, she says. I liked to look nice. She says I was quite nice looking. I was very short, not a very big woman, but I loved to wear bright clothing and eye makeup. And I liked the kohl, and I would exaggerate it. But I was very pious as well. I was very believing, but I enjoyed my beauty, and I knew I was beautiful. And I was very young, she says, very, very young. And I was a very rebellious, single-minded girl, and something happened to me, and my family had had to find help for me because I was not in a good situation, and they couldn't keep me because they couldn't marry me inside the tribe because people knew what had happened. And they found this really nice man, Joseph, and they said, you know, would you like to have our daughter? And to me, he was an old man. I mean, I was 16. Anyone was old to me, and I was traumatized and scared. And here I was being given away by my family, and you know, losing everything that I had. And I was so. She's making me feel like it's like right now. It felt like the end of the world, and I didn't see any hope. I said, I didn't know if I was going to have a baby because they told me I was going to have the baby. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. And then I felt something change in my body, and I knew I was going to have the baby. And thank God I had a dream, and Gabriel came, and he told me not to worry, that whatever I would give birth to, this child, he would be a gift, not only to me, but to everyone around him. And with only that dream, with only that faith, I was tested. I was tested because that's the only thing that I had. I just had a dream come to me. And anyone who's ever felt what I felt will know that faith is a very difficult thing because it's invisible. You get the feeling of faith and then it disappears. And she's saying, talk about the blue eyes. She did have the blue eyes. She was, like I said, they were a traveling tribe, and they had mixed all kinds of genes from around North Africa and that side of Africa, closer to the Arabic states, and you know, there was Lebanon and all of that in that basin. And I had these beautiful blue eyes, she says. She's very proud of them. And I was, you know, for those 9 months, and then the year after that, it was every day I would wake up. This is new, I didn't get this. Every day I would wake up and I would go through the day, and I would try not to think about what had happened to me. It was such a character building thing for a 16-year-old girl, for my mind to be focused on anything else but this. And not only this, but what was happening to my body and the pregnancy and all of that. It was so trying. And then at some point, I just gave up. I gave up on the anger, because I felt the anger was in my belly as well. And I didn't want the baby to have the anger. So I had to forgive, she says. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Well, I thought at that point. I had to draw out my own venom, because I was a fighter, she says. I was not someone who would forgive easily if something was done wrong to me. And I had to let go of the venom because I didn't want to poison the baby. And I knew he was precious. And I turned, like he turned the water into wine, I turned the anger into love. And they're not opposites at all. They're not. And when the baby was born, I just had only love, she says. There was so much love. You feel so much love. And I knew it was going to be dangerous, but because the dream told me that in a way I would survive the pregnancy, I was fine with that. If I was going to die, I was okay with that too. okay with anything that would happen. And then it was just love. There was just so much love. And my husband was so caring to me. Joseph was so caring, and he was just the most amazing human being, because he didn't judge me. He didn't judge any of this. And the baby came out with beautiful blue eyes, and he kept the blue eyes. And from that point on, I saw myself in him. He was my first one. And if you ever wonder what I look like, she says, all you have to do is just find, there's a young woman who painted him. He's very similar looking to that, and I look exactly like that, except more feminine. I was a square jaw and blue eyes and dark black hair, though. I didn't have dark brown. My hair was black. And I had a nice dark complexion for the desert. And she says, after he was born, I had another child and another. But he was my greatest challenge still, because he was so much like me, she says. I think the greatest challenge for a parent is when your child is exactly like you and you have to forgive yourself. It was a life of forgiving myself of being myself through him, because he was so much like me in so many ways. He got everything from me. Thank God, because if he got something from his dad, I don't think I would have loved him as much. But as he grew older, he grew looking like me, and everyone would tell me, your son looks so much like you. And I was so proud to have a son like that, because he was very smart, very, very smart, and he was very intelligent, but he was just as bad as I was, just as questioning and looking at the world and wondering what is this world and what is my place in it. And he would question me the same way I questioned my father and my place. But he seemed to have many more answers than I ever did. And I had to accept that we weren't on the same path. And when a son leaves you, it's always very sad. When he grew up, he was quite challenging, and he even challenged me as a woman. He said I should be an equal, and I've always had thought that, but I didn't dare to speak anything about that, because I knew my life was it was quite difficult being a woman back then. You didn't have the freedoms that you have now, and you were really someone who made babies. That was just what it was. You made the children, you made the food, you took care of people. And that was the only role available for most women. I say most because some women did have better roles, but most women, their destiny was that one, the one where you wake up in the morning and you cook and you do everything for your family. And I was not against it. I actually enjoyed cooking and cleaning and taking care of my sons. And I didn't really complain. Really, there was nothing else I could envisage to do anyways, she says. I thought this was the best that I could ever have, except being maybe a rich woman, which I knew we would never be rich, because my husband wasn't really interested in money. Joseph was not someone who loved money necessarily. He liked to work. He was very contemplative. He was very interested by his his work, and he put a lot of heart and soul into what he created. And he gave that to our sons, including Yeshua. I know I wrote down the way that the Hebrews say it, but for some reason it comes out as Yeshua. And he was a wonderful husband for the life that I had. He treated me very, very well, and I had nothing really to say about Joseph. He was just kind. We were both kind people, and I was very happy that Faith had given me a good husband in the end. Perhaps not the one that I would have chosen or my parents would have chose for me, but I was quite happy that he was the man that he was. And the sons that he gave me were wonderful people, and they were different in every way, sometimes from each other, and at the same time quite similar. And when he went away, I was sad. But, life, people lost a lot of children back then. I was lucky. And, if my son wanted to go, then he wanted to go. And when he came back, I was very happy. And then that's kind of when I realized that he was quite special to have come back in one piece. To even have come back, actually. And then I did not really understand him. I didn't understand the faith that he was talking about sometimes. And that is okay. Sometimes you don't have to understand your children. You just have to love them. That he chose to spread the word of the one God among all sorts of people that were not savory, as maybe kind word, that people that you wouldn't really look at or think they deserved to be saved. He was the first one to go towards them, and it mystified me because I didn't understand what he was doing. And again, every step of the way, my faith was tested. Children will test your faith in what they think they should be doing or not doing, really. It's hard to say, but sometimes as a mother, when you're that kind of a mother, back then, I didn't have any other things to think about, so I would worry. Because it's the only thing I could do to help him. I couldn't go out there and preach the word. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. That was just his work. And me, I was someone who loved to sing. I love to sing, and I love to wear nice clothes, and I love the color pink, she says. Pink, we didn't have the same kinds of pinks you have now, but I love that color. Red, pink. It was beautiful colors, she says. And if I were to come back today, I would be a different kind of woman, she says. But it doesn't really matter, because I would be a woman just like you. Maybe different, maybe I wouldn't like the same food, but I would have the same thoughts as you. And if you want to, if it helps you in these times, we can reinvent that statuette of Mother Mary dressed in blue. She can wear black, she can wear green, she can wear red, she can wear pink. She can have a nose piercing, and this is not a real nose piercing, by the way. She can wear black eyeshadow or green eyeshadow, or she could wear a dress of flowers or a plain linen dress. Really, it's up to you. You are Mother Mary. You are Mary, or you are you. You don't need to look up to this old image. You can reinvent it. You can connect to that faith that a mother needs when she's raising the children. And if one thing I realized is that it's important to be yourself. It's important to be you for you, and not just exist for other people, for your children. What example are you giving them when you're just worried about other people and not yourself? Think about yourself. Care for yourself. Nurture yourself. Be there for yourself. Don't ignore yourself. Just love yourself. And do whatever you need to do. If it's dressing nice, if it's putting on some makeup, if it's eating something good, if it's holding your child, any of those, none of those, whatever it is, you can find your own connection to faith, to your own desire and wonderful loveliness. And that is also part of the energy in the collective, but that we don't talk about, but it is there. And it's available for you to connect to at any time, any place. And you don't have to do any of this. It is available, but it helps sometimes to do it in a ritual and to connect to that energy in a ritual. So I'm back with my own vision of, I don't want to say Mother Mary, because I don't feel like this is Mother Mary, but it's my vision of that energy. And to me, I'm combining different kinds of personal connections, and I'm pretty sure I've had some past lifetimes in India, and I love anything to do with Indian culture and colors, and this scarf is Indian. And Meriem says she loves that I wear this because pink, this sort of pink, she would have loved this. She would have found this absolutely sensational. And it's a gift from a friend who gave it to me, and I'm so honored that she gave it to me, because this color suits me so well. And she says there's nothing wrong with blue, but pink is a color that's more modern, she says, and we didn't really have this sort of pink back then. It wasn't, only the flowers could have these sort of colors. And where I lived, there weren't really any kinds of flowers like this. The desert was very barren, and the flowers in the desert are not very shiny and pretty like this. And I would have died to have this, she says, because this sort of color was more for very, very rich people. And so this is my interpretation of, I'm going to call it Mother Mary, because she's saying, there you go again, it's too precious to touch. And this energy, as much as the Christ imagery has been really hard to shake, and people have tried to shake it for a very long time, by showing Jesus to have darker skin, or to show the reality of people in that area, to humanize him. And it is appreciated. However, he did have blue eyes, just like mine, she says. And she likes this because it's not something you could wear. It just looks good because of the pink that I'm wearing. Without it, I look like I had my eyes punched out. She wants to say for this Easter, if you don't want to think of Jesus, or the church is too heavy with negative energy, she says, I know that I always was, not I, she's saying that the image that they made of me has always been very comforting, and you don't have to worship Jesus. And she's reminding me there's a goddess called Estera, which Easter has stolen its name from, and it was the goddess of fertility in the North countries. And I do have genes from some of those North countries. And she also wants me to show the t-shirt. She loves this t-shirt. I'm hoping you can see it. She says, kiss some more. And kiss is wonderful. Kissing is wonderful, and love is wonderful. Although it's not always easy on earth, but it's something you can share. And it's starting to shift, and love, and pink is, and red are the colors of love. And she says, blue could be the color of love, a different kind of love. But it doesn't really matter what color, as long as you feel love, she says, and you spread love. And this time, that's quite dangerous, or so it seems. And she's saying, I'm really sorry, my life is not very interesting. I was a mother all my life, raising children. My life was very repetitive, and I have no spiritual teachings like Jesus to give you. But she does remind me that forgiveness is a very strong, strong thing, and strong purpose to be forgiven and to forgive people who do wrong to you. Because sometimes out of wrongdoings come wonderful things, because one has to overcome. And overcoming is quite a wonderful experience. To overcome one's emotions, to overcome one's anger, it is an incredible thing. And to forgive and to love is even more sweet, because it is one of the few experiences that we've come to really share and take part of when we come here. And there's really no other better experience than that of love. And try and keep it as pure as you can. Namaste, she says. See you later.